Just relax and tell us what's on your mind. Why do you think we ought to let him out?
Because honestly, I need my father, to be honest with you.
Good morning. This is the Committee on Parole. The time is 9 o'clock in the morning. Today's date is July the 8th of 2025. We're in Baton Rouge at DLC headquarters, and we're going to begin our hearings for today in just a moment. To my right is Jerry Ledoux. To my left is Chuck Tillis, and my name is Steve Prater. We're going to be conducting the hearings for today. Like I say, we're in Baton Rouge, and we got staff here. Staff, would you introduce yourself?
Sure, I'll be going.
Okay, thank you. And we're going to be first taking the case in Baton Rouge with State Police Barracks. And that's the first case that we have. And so, sir, would you introduce yourself for all of us? We know who you are, but for the purpose of the records, would you introduce yourself?
I'm Ryan Russell Sr.
Okay. And how much staff is in there?
Yes, John Washington.
Okay, welcome. Thank you for having us, and we appreciate you conducting it. Okay, the way this is going to work, Ryan, is that we're going to let you give us an opportunity in just a moment to tell us why you feel like that you're worthy of being paroled. We're going to find out a little bit more about you from the facility there, find out what kind of work record you got. Then we're going to go into those that are supportive of you being released, and we'll read those in just a little bit. Let some of them have their say. I think they're all going to, well, no, they're not all going to be Zoom. Some will be here. And then we're going to talk to the folks in opposition. And then we as a board are going to conduct some questions, and then we'll make our decision. It's pretty simple. It takes longer to explain it than it does to do it. So we'll go ahead and get started. Having said all of that, we'll get started with you, Mr. Russell. Tell us what you did. Tell us, and I don't need every detail or anything like that, but tell us why you're where you are and why you think that your behavior since being there has warrants the fact that you should be released.
All right. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen of the board. In 2004, I shot and killed John Schubrook in a heated altercation. Those actions that day, I realized they cost. He has a daughter. She lost her father that day. His sister lost a brother. I lost a friend. I had known John for a long time. My mom lost her husband. All my kids lost somebody they knew. It split a family. It impacted a lot of people, and it's impacting people today. I mean, there's people still hurting behind my actions of that day. When I was first arrested, I was alcoholic and a drug addict. I had been for a long time. I'm always going to be an alcoholic and a drug addict. And I'm not blaming my actions on that. I know that they contributed to that. And it's during my time of incarceration, I primarily, shortly after getting locked up, I met Tom Smith, Pastor Tom Smith, come to see me in the parish jail. And he has been a huge influence on my life. He's been a guide for me, somebody I could speak to. We've been friends for over 20 years now. And he's come to see me. He's always supported me, and he encouraged me. I guess to make it short, he let me know that God loves me no matter what I've done. That there was still hope for me, that things could turn around. And so, taking his advice, I made every effort I could, first and foremost, to get myself right with God. From there, I mean, I've been to 4 different institutions. I've had several jobs. I primarily stayed focused in faith-based activities. In Angola, I was in a praise team. With the praise team, I got shipped to Cottonport. I was over a praise team. Winfield, I was over the praise team. I'm over the praise team here at the barracks. And I've always stayed active with the church and church activities. My time in DOC, I didn't have the opportunity to take many programs. Generally, the way you had to be within 10 years of a release date before you could take any type of cage of rage and all that. It wasn't until I got to the barracks before that became available to me. Once here, I took everything I could. Cage of rage, thinking for a change, 100 hours pre-release. I've maintained a good work record. No write-ups. I've never had any disciplinary infractions. And I've worked hard to better myself. And probably the best thing for me is my involvement with Alcoholics and Narcotics Anonymous, where I realize I'm not the only person that has problems with drugs and alcohol. I'm not the only person that's been under the influence and done terrible things to people and hurt people because of it. But at the same time, we can help each other through it. We can help each other from not doing it. And I enjoy that. And if granted a favorable ruling today, I already have an outside sponsor for Alcoholics Anonymous. And that is one of the first things I'm doing is get with the local Alcoholics Anonymous group. Revive Ministries. I play music. I've played music almost all my life. Revive Ministries has, expressed that they'd be interested in me joining their music ministry. The Parole Project, I've met with the Parole Project. I'm going to take advantage of all the resources that they have to offer. If granted a favorable ruling, I intend to stay in Baton Rouge because I have 3 children in the Shreveport area. 1 daughter's in Houston, 1 daughter's in Florida. In Baton Rouge, I'd be in the middle of all of them because I intend to be a part of their lives and do what I can for them. And I thank the board for its time today.
Great, thank you, sir, for that statement. We appreciate that. Captain Washington, would you tell us what kind of fellow he's been since you've known him?
Ryan's been solid. No matter what it is I ask him to do, he does it. He made repairs in our office. Currently, this lovely table that y'all are looking at, he actually did that. He's got a lot of skills. Here, you don't get to use all of them, but he's a very skilled worker, has a great attitude, and is always willing to help no matter what. He's, like I said, he's painted in here. He's repaired holes that should be in walls, but they were. And he's been a great asset to us.
Okay.
Captain Washington, could you please explain how difficult it is to be selected to reside there at the barracks?
Yes, ma'am. So it starts with your criminal history. We go through it very extensively. Our classification officer, Miss Lisa, does an excellent job doing background searches. The qualifications: no sex offenses, no crimes against children, no crimes against law enforcement. And then you go start looking at the disciplinary history. And in Ryan's case, he has none. But we have to have recommendations not only from our classification officer, but for the institution that they come from. We take very seriously their opinions and their statements about the offenders who want to come here. It's not a cakewalk. Any little infraction can keep you from coming here. And our policy is you have to be 3 years right up free before we'll even talk to you.
How long has he been there?
6 years.
Okay, Captain, thank you very much. Well, we'll move on to those in support. And let me introduce Miss Micah Sleen. Am I saying that right? Sloan, okay. A little typo. Michael Sloan. Okay, Miss Sloan, did you want to make your comments first or after everyone else?
After everyone else.
Okay. All right. We have 3 people that are going to be speaking. Carrie Myers with the Parole Project, Ryan Russell, and Brooke Castee, the son and daughter of Mr. Ryan Russell. We'll start out with Mr. Myers. Carrie, would you talk to us, please, sir?
Yes. Good morning. Kerry Myers with Louisiana Parole Project. We're here to let the board know that we've accepted Ryan Russell as a client of Parole Project. We intend for Ryan to be a long-term client, providing housing up until such time that Ryan is capable of living independently, however long that takes. Ryan, as you just heard, is highly skilled in multiple different fields. So we have no problems understanding that Ryan's going to be easily employed. But what really impresses us about Ryan more than anything else is that he's self-aware. I think you heard that from him. You heard that about his sobriety. You heard that about his family. The skills, the programming, all of those things that he's done just leads to the fact that he is very self-aware. He understands the harm that he did. He understands where he has been and where he is going. And Parole Project is prepared to provide him with the assistance that he needs in his transition. And that includes, in over 21 years, that includes mentorship, financial management, technology, things that he will catch up on. But in general, Ryan has the skills. We committed to him long-term, and we would ask this board to consider all these things and grant his parole today.
Thank you, sir. We appreciate that, Gary. Okay, the next person will be the son, Mr. Russell's son, Ryan Dean Russell Jr. Are you on Zoom with us? Okay, good. Good morning. What would you
Good
like?
morning, guys. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. I really don't have much to say other than obviously he's a changed man more than what he was. He's done multiple programs to like. I'm sorry, guys. I'm nervous. He went,
Relax,
sir.
just relax and tell us what's on your mind. Why do you think we ought to let him out?
Because honestly, I need my father, to be honest with you, to be on the outside of the walls. He has done multiple things to reform, to get better. He, when he gets out, I know he'll be a really productive member of society. He'll have a great support system like my grandma, my sisters, all that. Guys, I really don't have much to say other than he has a great family and great support system if he gets out.
Okay, thank you, Ryan. We'll move on now to Brooke, the daughter, Brooke Castee, if I'm saying that correctly. Brooke, would you tell us what's on your mind?
Yes, sir. I wrote a speech already, so I'm going to be looking at the screen.
Okay.
First, good morning, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak on this matter. My name is Brooke Castee, and I'm here today as Ryan Russell's daughter to speak in support of his release. I understand the gravity of the crime that brought us here, and I do not take this opportunity lightly. I would like to start by saying my father has taken responsibility for his actions, and he has never tried to justify or excuse what he did. He has expressed sincere remorse for the pain he caused, not just to our family, but to the broader community. Over the years, I've witnessed a man who has worked hard to understand his past, confront it, and change. To my knowledge, he has never had any disciplinary issues while incarcerated, and he's taken just about every opportunity to grow and improve himself, both as a person and a potential member of society. Despite what he's done, he is still a human being with his own ambitions and his own family, a family that has felt the weight of his absence for over 20 years now. Today, he has 7 grandchildren he's never met, and I believe his grandchildren deserve the chance to know the man he is now and not just the man defined by a terrible decision he made decades ago. Although this was normalized for us, a child going into a prison is a scary and confusing experience, and that's not something I want repeated with his grandchildren. He has so much potential to contribute, not only to our family, but to the community. And I believe he has the skills, the education, the humility, and the drive to reintegrate successfully. I want the board to know that he is not alone. He has family members that are committed to supporting his transition. I understand that your job is to assess risk and readiness, and I believe without hesitation that he is ready. I will end this by saying thank you for your time and for considering his case with the seriousness and humility it deserves.
Okay, thank you very much for your words. We will take them into our consideration. Next, we'll have Miss Micah Sloan, the attorney, and tell us what's on your mind.
Micah Sloan of the Louisiana Parole Project on behalf of Ryan Russell Sr. As this committee is well aware, any case in which the family members of the victim are also family members of the offender is really challenging. When Mr. Russell took Mr. Schubrook's life in 2004, he also took the husband of his mother, Wanda, and the legal guardian, his daughter. Though Ms. Rhonda and Haley understandably felt too nervous to be here to speak with you today, they are watching on YouTube. And you can read in our letters of support that although they suffered a terrible loss when they lost their husband and mother, they forgive Mr. Russell and they hope to have him home. Mr. Russell does not take their forgiveness for granted, but when he thinks of the harm that he caused, he especially thinks of his refused biological father. Though Haley still has a father, he does not. Mr. Russell never knew his father, and for that reason, it's particularly devastating to him that he is responsible for taking the father away from him. As we prepared for this hearing, Mr. Russell expressed to me several times that his primary concern was the pain that this hearing would cause our family. Mr. Russell is the father of 6 now adult children, all of whom he keeps in touch with. His children serve as his motivation to do better and to be better. And as you can see in their letters of support, his children do not support Mr. Russell just because he is their father, but because they have witnessed the genuine efforts that he has put forth to change, to be a better person, a better father, and to restore their trust through action and not just words. Though Mr. Russell humbly accepts his punishment through extreme harmlessness, he has worked hard to prove that he is rehabilitated and ready to be the father and the grandfather he always hoped to be. As we've heard, in nearly 21 years of incarceration, Mr. Russell has never received a disciplinary write-up. He has completed just about every course that's been offered to him. He became sober and has maintained sobriety for the past 20 years, and he now uses his experience and his story to encourage others down a path of sustained sobriety as a facilitator of AA and NA, which he's done for the past 3 years. Above all, Mr. Russell is a caretaker, and not only to his family. Mr. Russell cares for prison staff and for members of law enforcement at the barracks. He does all that he is asked of, and he goes above and beyond to volunteer his time and skills to those in need. For instance, as Captain Washington mentioned, he uses his drywall finishing skills to fix holes at the facility without being asked. On several occasions, when a trooper or a family member of staff at the barracks passed away, Mr. Russell made commemorative plaques to honor those lives and to share condolences. When a captain at DOC passed away during COVID, Mr. Russell volunteered to make his headstone at a time he was required to come back. Mr. Russell also cares for his fellow offenders. He once told me a story about when he was at Lynn Correctional Facility. There was an intellectually disabled offender who was having a hard time calling his mother, and other offenders were taking advantage of him by using his phone when he was asking for help. The staff at Lynn came to Mr. Russell specifically and asked him if he could help the offender keep in contact with his mother, which Mr. Russell happily did. This is an example of the kind of person Mr. Russell is. Someone trusted by staff and someone gladly willing to support those in need. Mr. Russell also cares for his fellow offenders who attend the AA and courses he facilitates at police barracks. A true believer in the effectiveness of the program given his own experience, he is committed to and motivated by the attendees of his program, and he serves them by providing a safe space for them to express themselves and to heal. Mr. Russell is also a caretaker of animals. Since he's been at the barracks, Mr. Russell has created what you might consider a makeshift animal rehab center. He spends his free time caring for, feeding, attempting to rehabilitate lost or injured animals that the staff and offenders find on the property. Sometimes I think the staff might be taking advantage of Mr. Russell's self-talk and he keeps giving you animals, but he happily takes on any challenge, especially if he knows he can make a positive difference. Mr. Russell will be the first to tell you that although his disciplinary record is perfect, he is not. It is his poor choices that led to the loss of life and his distance from his family. He clearly recognizes that he devastated his family, his own family, and his community. Though his time in prison will not bring Mr. Schubrook back, Mr. Russell has proven that he takes his punishment and his rehabilitation seriously, and that he is well prepared to re-enter the community safely. As you heard from Captain Washington, you now know what it takes to get admitted to the barracks and to stay at the barracks. It's the same trustworthiness and skill and commitment to rehabilitation that the barracks recognize that the Parole project recognized when we accepted him into our reentry program. Given his many profitable skills, drywall finishing, CNC router operation, kitchen work, construction work, and more, paired with his clear ability to abide by the rules, his dedication to serving others, and his proven ability to maintain his sobriety, Parole Project has no doubt that if we use some fuel, Mr. Russell will live a productive and law-abiding. Mr. Russell has accepted the long-term client, as you heard from Carrie. He has met with our social work team, our employment team, both of which feel confident that with their support, Mr. Russell can and will be successful outside of prison. Mr. Russell has taken it upon himself to identify a sponsor, as he said, in an AA program, to ensure that he has the support and the resources that he needs to maintain sober as he adapts to the free world. He is highly employable and able to work, and he continues to he hopes to give back to the community, humans, animals, whatever, in the Baton Rouge community. I am aware that it takes an exceptional applicant to be granted release well in advance of their release on parole well in advance of their release date. I submit to you that Mr. Russell is that exceptional.
Okay.
Mr. Russell would, I also think that, if we continue to incarcerate Mr. Russell, there would be an unnecessary expenditure of taxpayer dollars because there's no additional courses for him to take. He's gained a strong hold of his sobriety. He has a clear understanding of the devastating impact of his actions. If Mr. Russell is released on parole, he can make a significant and positive difference in the lives of his children and his mother, who as she gets older may need his support and care, and in the commitment with his many gains of skill and commitment to serving others. It's for these reasons that based on the information provided to you and what you've heard today, that I ask that this board allow Mr. Russell to serve the remainder of his sentence under the supervision of probation and parole, and that it affix any conditions it deems necessary. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Long. We appreciate that. All right, we'll move on now to those in opposition, and we have the ones I have on here: Shelley Schubrook, Randall Schubrook, and Richard Brown, who are family members, but they will not be speaking. Those that are here that will be speaking are Lee Schubrook, Lisa Walker, and Ruby Brown. Am I correct with that? Okay, well, we'll go ahead and start out. Which of the three of you that will be speaking would like to go first? And we'd like to keep this, we have to keep it less than 10 minutes total, so about 3 minutes each. Would you limit your remarks to that? And who will be going first?
Ruby.
You go right to the podium.
Okay.
I'm Ruby Brown, mother of John David, who was murdered by Reynolds, Russell, I'm sorry. I'm just going to read the statement. My world had think of this horrible senseless act of violence. My heart was torn out when I heard that my son was dead. My blood ran cold. I've felt every blood vein in my body. I've heard every day since. I wake up and hear his voice calling, Mom. I get chills and I cry. Secret. Died that day, and I will never be whole again. My family's my life, and John David was taken from us. We will never be complete again. My son will never be able to experience good life. I think of all the life that he wasn't able to live. He was taking time on this life. He didn't get to watch his daughter grow up, graduate from school to college. He wasn't there walking down the aisle at her wedding. He hasn't been there to celebrate family holidays and birthdays and all of the family events. There is no punishment great enough for the person who's responsible for his death. I do not seek revenge. I just want justice for my son. I want his murderer to serve his full sentence.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. All right, next we'll go to Lisa. Okay, Lisa Walker.
My name is Lisa Walker. I'm the older sister of John Schubrook. 20 years ago, we were asked to provide victim impact statements following the conviction of Brown Russell for the murder of my brother, John. At that time, I struggled with a simple but impossible question: how can we begin to understand the full extent of the impact of Ron's actions would have on our lives? And even more important, How can we begin to measure how Ryan's deliberate choices impacted John's life? The answer then is still the answer now. The greatest impact was John himself. Ryan made a conscious decision to end John's life. That decision meant John would never again experience what the future might have held. Moments with his child, time with his family, the fulfillment of his hopes and dreams. Ryan stole all of that from him. And he didn't stop there. After taking John's life, Ryan tried to cover up his heinous act, further compounding the cruelty and trauma we endured. For our family that day cast a long and permanent shadow. The grief is unrelenting, the hate is so intense that it often remains unspoken, because to speak it is to make the horror even more real. Every memory we have of John, good or bad, is now clouded by the violence of how his life ended. There is no closure, there is no peace, only the reality that Ryan took John's life, and in doing so, left our family with an emotional wound that can never heal. For me personally, the past 20 years have been haunted by reoccurring nightmares, especially during times of stress. When I'm taken right back to the moment I learned of John's death, the nightmares are not just dreams. They are reminders that this is our reality, that John is truly gone, and that the helplessness I felt then still lingers now. In a private torment that I do not speak about, because acknowledging it makes it feel all the more real and unbearable. Now we are being asked to relive the trauma again, to fight for justice all over again, because Ryan Russell is being considered for parole. I want to be absolutely clear, Ryan does not deserve to be released, ever. He chose to end John's life. He should spend the rest of his life behind bars. No amount of rehabilitation, no number of programs completed, no accumulation of good behavior can undo what he's done. The idea that he can walk free, while John never will, is completely unjust. Although Ryan was sentenced to 40 years, which means one day he may be released, I urge the board today to deny his parole, not only for justice's sake, but to honor the life of the man who took. John deserved much more than to become a victim of Ryan's decision. So again, how has this impacted our lives? It destroyed John's life. And it shattered ours. It placed a crushing weight on our heart, our minds that will never be lifted. Thank you for allowing me to speak and for considering the statement in your decision. I hope you will choose justice for John and for all of us who continue to carry the weight of it.
Thank you, ma'am. We appreciate that. We'll take that into consideration in our deliberations. Lee, would you be next, please?
My name is Lee Schubrook. I'm here to tell you today why Ryan Russell should not be up for parole, because 20 years ago, or more than 20 years ago now, he decided to go outside and kill my brother. The only witness to this is Ryan Russell. Now, I have to go through what he said to the court and what all came out in the case to decide what actually happened. Ryan Russell said that John was outside welding. I believe that. And he says that John come at him with a machete, and that's why he defended himself with a .22 rifle. I wonder, where did he get this rifle from? He was already in the backyard. So therefore, I guess he just pulled it up out the air, a loaded .22 rifle. I contend that he did not go out there to confront my brother. I believe he brought that rifle from outside the house. It would make sense. And they said, the coroner said there was 2 shots, one to the side of the head and one to the center of the forehead. The one to the center of the forehead had pressure against it, and Ryan says that it was a bump shot, which is impossible if you're holding pressure. I believe that John was welding, and Ryan come up like a coward and shot him in the side of the head, first shot, 2 feet away, and then after he was down, pressed the rifle to his forehead and made the execution shot. And exactly that's what it was. And as far as all the things that Ryan does in prison, all these skills that he has. You know who taught him those skills? John David Schubrook taught him those skills. He would not know those skills if it was not for my brother. And I contend that I hope that y'all make the right decision today. This man belongs in prison where he is. And as far as him being sober, you can't get drugs and alcohol in prison. So how are you going to sit there and say I was sober for 20 years? You've been in prison for 20 years. Let him out on the street, he'll go right back to who he was before he was there. And yes, I knew Mr. Ryan Russell very well. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We appreciate your comments, and we'll also take them into consideration. Okay, Mr. Russell, it's time now for the board to ask questions. This particular case, I was assigned to be the interviewer, although each of us have read extensively on your case and so familiar with it. I guess, and I've listened to everything that everyone has said, and I've made my notes down here about who's in opposition, who's for it, the relationships, the fact you have no disciplines, parole project. The jury found you guilty of manslaughter. And the DA was prosecuting you on second degree, which is also significant. You've had many classes, but the DA and the sheriff are opposed. The attorney general is opposed. You have a history of substance abuse, and you say you've dealt with that, and the fact that you're at state police barracks. All those are undisputed as far as I'm concerned. And I got to ask you, why did you kill this man, and why did you bury the body?
That particular day, the altercation, Lee's correct. The altercation started in the front yard. John and I had argued several times. This wasn't just this day. We had several discussions and arguments over. If y'all read the record, y'all are familiar with what's in it. I'm not trying to reiterate. I don't want to put his family through any more than I actually have to. But to answer your question, we got into an argument. I withdrew from that argument. The tool shed out there, me and Little Ryan target shoot all the time out there. That rifle's in there. The rifle still had a clip in it. I retreated from the confrontation. I went into the tool shed to actually get another beer because I was drinking that day. I was drinking. I went in there to actually get another beer. John followed me into the shed. He's yelling that it starts back up. He reached across the back of that tool shed and grabbed that machete. When he did, I came up with the rifle and cocked it, and I shot it. I didn't intend to do that. That was not. I wanted him to leave. I was trying to run him off. I wanted him to leave. I wanted him away from my daughter. I was high. I was drunk. I was not in my right mind. When John fell to the ground, I kept thinking Lil Ryan or Haley's gonna come. They're in the house. It's broad daylight. They're in the house. We're not 50 feet away from the house. I'm thinking they're gonna walk outside because they just heard a gunshot, and I don't want to. They don't need to see him. This is somebody they know. I didn't. That was my first initial thought. I moved John. I moved him as far as I could in the woods. I don't really have any explanation for that. I didn't know what to do. I was scared. I didn't want to go to jail. I didn't call the police. I'm drinking. I'm doing drugs. I didn't want to interact with the police. I didn't want to go to jail. I didn't know what else to do, and that's how we got to where we are today.
How did you get shot twice in the head?
The rifle was an automatic. It's a semi-automatic. When I picked that rifle up, it had a clip in it. And if you're familiar with firearms, once you chamber a round, it's going to shoot automatically. And if this, I mean, we're breaking down something that happened in less than 2 seconds. And the first shot, he was shot first between the eyes. He fell, and as he's turning, I fired again as he's falling. But we're not more. I don't know if you could tell the dimensions of this room to me and Captain, and that tool shed's about the same as this room is. It's not much bigger than that. I'm sure y'all have pictures in the police report, but it's close quarters. And where he fell is right there. The doors of the shed open up, and the house is right there. If the kids would have stepped out, he's right there. That's why I moved him to it initially to there.
And how old are these kids?
At the time, little Ryan was 8 and Haley was 6.
And you had a loaded rifle right there in the shop where they could have got to it too?
No, I was in the house with him. Me and little Ryan had been there. And that morning, little Ryan, we target shoot out in the front yard. That 22 is what he was shooting. It had a clip in it. It didn't have a shell chambered in it, but I mean, we're at the house. And that gun stayed in the shed. All my belongings at that time were in that tool shed.
Okay, and why did you bury the body or just drag the body off?
At first, I drug him off. At first, I did. That didn't happen immediately. It was actually the next night when I went ahead and buried him.
Okay. Okay, questions? Questions?
There was something in the confession that I'm not hearing, and I don't want to bring it up, but there was some disturbing circumstances about some conversations, and I'm not sure if that information, as you've had years to think about it, is accurate.
Could you clarify?
Some behavior on his part and some an offer that was made.
Okay, since you're answering the question, I'm uncomfortable with this because I'm not really trying to put his family through any more than they've already been through.
Okay, so was that
Yes,
accurate?
ma'am. Everything that you have in my statement, if you've got my statements to Tracy Scott and in my testimony, yes, all of that is 100% accurate.
That's what I just needed to know.
Okay, do you have any other questions? Are y'all prepared to vote?
Yes.
Okay, since this is my case, I get to vote first, and you have to, on a parole deal, you have to be unanimous. And it's not like a revocation, which has to be 2 out of 3. It has to be unanimous. And Mr. Russell, I think you've done a great deal, and this time next year I might think different about it, but right now I don't think you've served enough time. I think on taking somebody's life, even though you've been exemplar in everything that you've done, and we appreciate that, but I think that somebody's life in a situation like this, because of something you did, is worth more time than that. I think because of the circumstances surrounding, I think that you need to serve some more time. Mr. Tillman?
Mr. Ryan, I commend you on your trying to rehabilitate yourself. You've done well, and it takes a lot to get to the police barracks. Due to the time served and the family's opposition and law enforcement, my vote is to deny.
Ms. Ledoux?
We have to weigh many things, and in terms of public safety, I don't think that you're a public safety threat at this point. I think that you've done a great job in your time incarcerated. I too feel like the amount of time is the only thing that holds me back today. And my vote is to deny, but it will be different if I have you before me again, if you continue down this path.
Okay, I'm sorry to tell you, but it's 9:40 in the morning, and your parole has been denied. Thank you, end of here.
Hey, thanks for watching. Please do let us know in the comments what you thought of this video. If you'd like to support what we do here, the best way to do it is to pick up some of our merch. You can find it at courtroomfiles.com.